Hello random person, Sab Nino here. Welcome to the first episode of Sab's Movie Nights, where I just talk about animated movies and series. If you have any recommendations, leave your comments below. I might check them out. You might be wondering why I'm reviewing Big Birthday Blowout. There's two reasons behind this. One, I promised it in my 3 Geeks podcast, and we're taking a very long hiatus. Also, since a lot of my recurring fans know me through SpongeBob, I thought this would be a good entry point. For a good while, I was on and off between this one and the Wildebeest. I think that's what it's pronounced. I might cover that in a later one, but let's get into this. SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout is basically a 20th anniversary special where Patrick takes SpongeBob to a sightseeing tour on what they call it Surface Land, while Sandy prepares for the big celebration afterwards. And while on Surface Land, that's where a lot of the new stuff takes place. We get to see a weird rave scene with the barely naked beach drafts. Later on, when SpongeBob and Patrick were shouting, I got a little confused because they're not barely naked. They are fully clothed. You know, we have that. We have, I think, Kel as a giant bean shooting beans at people. I know a lot of people are mixed about that scene, but you know, on one hand, it caught me a little off guard and I thought it was entertaining, but then I felt like it kind of dragged on a little bit. We had the pie dragon. We had like this weird office jungle thing where they were selling gorilla masks. I'm not sure if this counts as a reference to I Had an Accident, maybe unintentionally. And the thing I'm sure all of you know the special for is the Trusty slap segment where like the voice actors playing themselves as like human counterparts. I think they do a really good job, and it does make sense for these voices in particular. They have a lot of experience playing the characters, so I'd see why they'd put them in this scenario. Sandy was a little off, I will admit. She seems a little bit too aggressive, and Charleston's voice is off, but nothing too jarring. There was like an aquarium. They end up rescuing some fish, which is a little weird, seeing these like hyper realistic fish in the universe of Bikini Bottom. The logic is just a little blurry, I guess. Does that mean like everywhere else outside of Bikini Bottom are just regular fish? Why the hell am I overanalyzing this? It's SpongeBob. However, in the Sandy section, we basically have like a lot of SpongeBob's friends, you know, get together trying to arrange the party, and they decide to like split it up into different parts. Mrs. Puff has like a driving section, which I find to be a little weird and a little one note. And now that I think about it, I don't really know why Mrs. Puff's there. You'd think she'd like abandon SpongeBob. Squidward is understandable. They do establish why he's there later on. Sandy does kind of stroke his ego a little bit with like saying that he was like an interior designer. You know, Bubble Bass is there too. This is kind of a weird thing in the series as well. I guess Bubble Bass and SpongeBob are like friends, I guess, at least in SpongeBob's eyes. He has like a Mermaid Man theme. I love Plankton's the most because it just caught me incredibly off guard. He has like this weird torture section of the party. You know, in his mind, since SpongeBob works at the Krusty Krab, he must be a masochist. I especially love the Fred cameo of Plankton trying to force Fred into saying, "my leg." Honestly, I'm not really a fan of the whole joke. You know, the characters just shouting surprise whenever someone says surprise. It was funny the first few times, but I don't know, it gets old. This is gonna delve into more spoiler territory. The party never gets made. SpongeBob's house is just entirely deteriorated, and I know a lot of people are mixed about this. You know, at the end of the day, they really did nothing for SpongeBob's birthday, even though they did try, which actually made me think of a question. Have they ever arranged like the times between the Surface Land tour and the party? Because I feel like if they had that, none of this would have happened. And I get why they did it, you know, to like build up tension. I don't know, I feel like if they like arranged the time, all of this would have been solved. Or at least like a rough estimate. I know the aquarium section was off schedule for them, I'm sure. But personally, I don't mind it. I feel like it kind of represents SpongeBob's character as a whole. Even if there's, you know, nothing. There's no cake, no presents, not even a full-fledged pineapple. but he doesn't care. He just cares that all his friends and loved ones are there. And at the end of the day, that pretty much defines SpongeBob as a character. He cares a lot more about his emotional connections throughout the years than, having this big party. And I think that's kind of sweet. And the biggest thing about the special, to me anyway, as like a longtime viewer, Patchy actually meets SpongeBob. And I feel like this is pretty revolutionary because outside of this, nothing's really changed from the status quo on SpongeBob. Plankton only really got the formula once. SpongeBob never got his driver's license. We've never had any real ongoing arc that's really been settled. After all these years of Patchy trying to see SpongeBob, he does it. I think it's really cool. Even though Patchy doesn't really show up that much in the special, I still think the segment works. Because as little screen time as he has, he's still there as a little subplot, trying to give SpongeBob a gift. And that's basically as far his plot goes. Speaking of which, this special feels like a reverse Truth or Square. Because in Truth or Square, Patchy takes up most of the special. There's no subplots and there's nothing that really represents what the show is to long-term viewers. However, with this, Patchy gets on the subline. There's more story to this. We have subplots, so we're not just following the same story for the whole 45 minutes. And there's actually a lot of references, so it feels a lot more like a celebration of the show. It's like we have Hasselhoff, which is just amazing. And I think that's basically it in terms of my thoughts on the special. And even though I'm sure this is already answered, is this special a better celebration of a SpongeBob anniversary than Truth or Square? Do I need to answer this? Of course. If anything, this is probably the best SpongeBob TV movie out of the three of them. So there's really no competition. I wouldn't say this is the best episode of SpongeBob ever. It certainly has a lot of flaws, but then again, I would still recommend this. It is still an interesting story that utilizes a lot of their characters to their full advantages and even rewards a lot of longtime viewers. And that was SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout. What do you think of the special? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Whatever it is, leave your thoughts in the comments, and, make sure to give me other suggestions as well. So with all that said, it's all Sab from here.